Hey, this is the DREMEL Versatip. It's a soldering iron with gas. It comes in a nice metal box. So these are all the tips. This is the soldering tip. This is the hot cutting knife, the shaping knife, the wide flame head, the hot air tip, and the soldering deflector. Also comes with a protective cover for traveling. This is the unit itself. So the soldering tip is already installed. It comes with a couple of small wrenches for changing out the tools, and a little bit of soldering wire. Comes with two tin boxes. One has a little sponge that you put a little bit of water in when soldering and clean your tip. One for various parts. So this is how the tip goes. The cover goes up. It takes normal butane. This is how you turn it on. It doesn't have butane in it now. This is how you turn it on. So there's a little safety tab there that you roll out and then pull or push. You can lock it open. And this is the flame adjuster. Okay, so this is the soldering tip if you want to change it out. Do like that. So you need a little wrench for this. This is the head that you screw the accessories in. So this is the soldering tip, the cutting knife, the shaping knife, the hot air tip, the soldering deflector, wide flame head, okay, let's fill it up. It takes normal butane. So you hold it upside down, take your butane, and that's it, it's full now. We can try it out. You can lock it in place and adjust the flame. So that's just the normal torch head. And now let's test these different heads out. Okay, let's try to desolder and solder something. Let's install the soldering tip. Let's put it to minimum. Use a little bit of flux to thin the tip. Okay, the tip is now tinned. It is on minimum, it is kind of hot. Yeah, it does get very, very warm. But it works. Okay, now let's just solder something back on the other side. This is just for demonstration purposes. It does get a little too hot for fine soldering, but it is doable, even freehand like this. So a good tip for soldering your tip so it doesn't get immediately oxidized is just use some flux. Use flux before starting it, and then as soon as you start it, just start touching it with a tin with a soldering wire. Okay, let's do it again, and let's try to solder freehand this capacitor on there, somewhere on there. Careful, it's hot. So yeah, it does work for soldering and desoldering. It is very hot. That's test number 1. Works good for soldering. You don't need to plug it in or anything, so that's nice. You can also do a little bit of wood burning, so I'm guessing you can use any one of these 2 tips, this shaping tip or this cutting tip. Start it back up. This is on the minimum setting. Let's put it a little higher. So yeah, it does burn the wood. Starting to get really warm now. This is also a shaping tool for plastic, like if you want to cut plastic or shape plastic or weld plastic. This is a cap here, like if you want to weld plastic, it's really good for that. It's got a slit into it. So now that's all cut. Let's try to squeeze it together and weld it. It gets really warm, it's a little bit too warm. Turn it back down. Okay, so now that's welded back together. So that works. Let's try another tip. We can try the cutting tip. It's gonna melt it so it won't be frayed and cut it at the same time. What happens is when you cut these things with a knife or just so it's all frayed up, that's what you don't want. Nice clean cut that already has the end melted, and this is on the lowest setting. So very nice and easy. That's really cool. You can also use it as a shaping tip, of course. So any type of plastic you can cut really easily with no fraying, or melt it and shape it. Really easily, really nicely. If you let it cool off, you could probably also use it to seal like bags. It's too warm for that now. But if you cool it off while it's cooling, maybe you could try to seal plastic bags, the thicker ones. Okay, and of course you can use it for cutting like bottles or plastic containers of any kind. So this is just a plastic bottle that we can cut. Again, it's on the minimum setting. Very easy. Very effective. Again on the minimum setting. Okay, so this is a nice tip. Okay, let's try the hot air tip. So a shrink tube. Yeah, so it works really well. That works well. Okay, now let's try this tip, which is the soldering deflector, or just the melting tip. So the melting tip or the soldering deflector, really efficient, very efficient. Very nice. So one more tip, this is the paint stripping tip, paint removal tip, or just the wide flame head. If you have a longer shrink tube, you can use this. It might go a little faster, or like they say, you can use it for paint stripping. Let me see if I can find something to strip paint off of. Okay, let's try the paint removal or wide flame tip. Off. So that works, but you can use that tip for a number of different things. So you can also use it to burn wood, give it a burn color. Okay, so this was the Dremel 2000 with 6 accessory tip. So I hope this helped. Okay, bye.